Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm still here after all these years, after all these tears I shed. I'm still here and I'm walking this earth like I should be. There was days that I didn't know if I would be. Yeah, yeah. Now I stand tall with my feet in the ground and my head in the clouds. 'Cause I'm still here like I should be. Yeah, yeah, like I knew that I could be. Here we go, here we go. I'm still here. I'm here.
Welcome back. That's what you usually say.
Oh,
I was waiting on you.
okay. Welcome back.
See? Told you.
Told you. Today we're going to talk about your role more than mine.
Okay.
Okay? It's been a while. Caregivers are such a crucial part of this whole process. And I think some of the things that we have done through the years might be a little bit different than what other people have done, or maybe just a little more forward about talking about those things, I guess. So, so yeah, I thought we would spend some time talking about tips for caregivers. Before we jump in, though, I just want to say I was just able to spend the weekend wedding dress shopping, and I just know how much stuff like that means to this community. And I put a little something on Instagram, and everybody was so sweet about it. And I'm not putting it out there like to brag, but it's just I hope it's a beacon of hope. I hope it's hope for the people that also, have daughters and want to be able to be there for those days. So,
Well, this is, one of the big milestones.
yeah.
The kindergarten, the graduation from high school.
Yeah.
The graduation from college, if that's a thing.
Which became 2020, COVID 2020, so
Yeah.
that one didn't happen.
The marriage.
Yeah.
Baby. I mean, there's these big this is a huge one.
Yeah.
Huge one. And, there's just no way that was even, I don't, in the beginning, the thought of that was so far beyond.
Yeah, and I think one of the things, I don't know how much Sydney really thinks about it, and I'm okay with that.
I pretty much guarantee she doesn't.
Yeah. But I think one of the things that also, while I was mindful this weekend of being a part of it, I was also glad that she didn't have to think about it.
I think she does think about it a little because she does see how big it is for you. And let's just be honest, neither of us are like big celebration people.
No, right.
We're just not.
Right.
And when she sees, wow, this means more than just going shopping.
Yeah.
Because that's, to her, I mean, I get it's different, but I guarantee she sees that.
Yeah.
And says, wow, okay. Maybe I'm not seeing the big picture in this.
Well, and even that, I guess also, I'm just glad that it's so, special to me. But I'm glad that that day also isn't something that she's wishing that I was there for, right? So
because would be the case. I mean,
because
no matter what,
and that's why we need good medicine, and we need moms to be able to go with their daughters to find a wedding dress. But it was really, really cool, and just really happy that I got to be a part of it. So, So let's go back to caregiving, talking about that. When when I was diagnosed as 26, you were 28, Sydney was 14 months old. So we were, just learning to parent. I feel like.
Yep.
And then also.
Well, we were also just learning to be married.
For sure.
You know?
Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know, again, I look, Sydney's 27 right now. So, and, you know, leading a very full, capable life, but again, not quite tackling all of the same things that we have at this point.
Sure.
So, Ivy wants to go out.
This is unusual, but we're letting her out.
Sure.
Carry on.
It's funny. I actually have I was in a meeting earlier today, and she was in the Zoom, and she is usually so good about just laying down and not being a part of it. But if you're watching on YouTube and you caught a glimpse of that, that's Ivy. So, all right. So I wrote 10 tips, but I only came up with 9. So maybe you'll come up with one at the end, or maybe it'll just be 9 tips for caregivers. The first thing I thought of was just like being present. I think you need to speak to this a little bit but like when you're kind of maybe like for me at least, once I was diagnosed, everything was about cancer. I was at home, whatever. You were going to work and things, but coming back into our house, I mean, it just was really important for me that you kind of checked in to see kind of where I was that day.
Yeah, I think this one doesn't matter the age of when you're diagnosed.
Yeah.
To do this alone is a lot harder than doing it with somebody else.
Absolutely.
And you know, one of the people in your recent past, you know, was diagnosed with cancer, and didn't hear the whole story on it, but one of the things is I think, you know, she was kind of doing this on her own. And I just, that just floored me right from the beginning, thinking, oh my gosh, how do you do this on your own? With all of the challenges that are out there anyway, and then you're going to do this on your own and be a parent to a child. And I just, yeah. It just seems almost impossible to me. So being present is almost a necessity in that.
Just because there's so much, I feel like emotionally things change all the time, and just being able to really be a part of it.
Yeah, it's a really, really scary thing. And
Yeah.
you guys all know that are listening. It's just, if we can all take ourselves back to when we got the news.
Yeah.
You know, the news is only going to one person. But it's more than that.
It's affecting a lot of people.
Yeah, that's the one person who's being told they have cancer. But man, if you can just look at somebody else and just they don't, I didn't say a word. If they don't say anything, at least you know there's somebody there. Yeah.
Yeah. So number 2, I said, put your fears aside for later. And we've talked about this a little bit, but can you explain that? What I mean by that? What your thought is?
You cannot be the most important person at this point. Being the caregiver, you got to be tough. You got to be that rock for the person. Even if you're terrified inside, even if you're boiling over inside, even if you're ready to run and explode inside, you gotta be the calm, tough person that person needs, or whatever they need. I just say tough. I'm saying an exterior of being tough. You don't matter as much at that moment. All of those things that should matter in a marriage can't matter right then.
Yeah, if you talk about, you know, sometimes or a relationship, that, you know, it's 50-50. It's not 50-50 right now. It might be 95.5. It might be not, it might be
And if you
completely-
want to be a true caregiver, I that has to be clear to the person who's diagnosed, because our human nature is to not want to get overly helped or focused on, or so much of my just makeup is no, I don't need help. I rarely, if ever, accept help, and I should accept help all the time. But in that scenario, it has to come from somebody where it's coming from a really honest place, that the person just diagnosed needs to accept that, and it's okay that percentage is being way off balance.
Yeah.
It's got, or else it just won't be what it needs to be.
Yeah. The other thing with like you putting your fear aside is that it's just because emotionally it's too much for the person who is diagnosed to handle their own fear, and to have a lot of, and I see this often, that a kind of their primary person then kind of dumps back on them. And I know that's how our relationships, we talk things out or we do, but not in this. Like that.
Yeah, it can't become a competition.
No.
Well, I'm scared too.
Yeah.
Well, I'm,
Yeah.
I'm that the word "I'm" kind of needs to disappear for a while.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is,
As a
if
caregiver.
you need something, you need to look out. You need to look outward.
Which I did.
And I think we recognize that fairly early. And it's not a forever thing, but it's a for now thing, and it has to happen, that the emotional output goes to, the struggle goes to somebody else.
Yep.
And I think it's really crucial.
Whether it's a facade or just what you've decided or whatever, it can't be, if that's normal for you, that 50-50 pushback, that any of that can't happen.
Yeah.
Well, it can, but it's going to then put that on the person's plate.
Yeah, even more of a burden. I mean, you're just thinking about, I always think you're trying to just make this person that was diagnosed, you're trying to put them in the best position possible to kill cancer, right? To build their immunity, to figure out their mindset, all of those kind of things. And so how can you add to it, and how can you take things off of their plate in every way, shape, or form?
For sure. I mean, with athletics, I'm an athletic junkie, and in a marriage, you're role players. We have roles, and we've those roles have changed over time,
Right.
But in that, you have to be the perfect role player, and it may not have been your role last week. That role has to change.
Yeah.
You have to be the perfect role player, meaning everything needs to go to the star, and the star is not you.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
And you got to be okay with it. I mean, seriously, if you're burdening yourself with, oh, I got to do, oh, Lord, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost got to be something you want to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we could talk a lot more about that. And I mean, just like, you do have it in you. You know what I mean? Just like this person,
everybody does,
that was diagnosed with cancer doesn't know what they are capable of. You don't know either. And I do think it's more common for that support person to bail. Of course, somebody with cancer doesn't get to bail. But it's also like, you might be shocked at what you have in you, what you can do, how you can provide support.
No doubt.
So,
and everything in my head goes to like marriage or close relationships, but this can be a best friend who is the primary caregiver.
Yeah.
In some of these, and if you want to be a great caregiver as a best friend, this applies to you too, because in a lot of cases with friendships, I think maybe even more 50-50 than a lot of marriages, and so yeah.
Number 3 is provide a safe space to land. So, I mean, I guess that's similar to being present in some ways, but it just means that I think there's a lot of burdens that come with living with cancer, and sometimes you just need to be able to to unload them in a way that there won't be any retribution. It's just an offloading.
For sure. And in those really, really trying times, I mean, those hard times.
Yeah.
You got to be okay with that, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I would say the other thing with that is that you can't keep score, right? Like, you can't keep score. I threw up all over you one day.
Well, I think that's a big secret of marriage is you can't keep score.
Right.
Forget cancer.
Yeah.
Scorekeepers, it's rarely going to go your way.
Yeah.
There's a reason why you're keeping score
because
you think it's not fair. That's a conversation, not a scoreboard.
Yeah. Okay. Number 4 is help with advocacy. So I think this is really important, and I think it's applicable in a lot of ways. So let's talk about some of the ways that you were able to help me kind of advocate for myself or situations.
Yeah, well, I mean, number 1, I think, is to be there. If I never went to appointments with you, never
Absolutely.
went to surgeries with you, then obviously, the person who drove you probably isn't going to do that.
Yeah.
So it's the person that has most of the knowledge and the backstory and the what happened before and all of this needs to be ready to do some preventative things on your behalf or speak up on your behalf. And when, I just naturally look around for what's wrong. How can this be better? That's just, my brain is wired that way. And I, in those cases, you certainly are a good advocate for yourself and you can handle yourself. There's no question about that.
Sometimes it's just exhausting.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Or you don't, when you're there, I don't have to be on high alert in the same way, right?
Yeah. But there's been just many, many times where, you can go to the appointment with them, but then you go into the back room and I'm not there. And that's where some of the shit happens that, and you come out in tears and I'm like, wait a minute, you went in fine. Whoa, what just happened?
Yeah.
So, you want to be everywhere there to kind of, as a protection. It's kind of, to some extent like a parent. That type of role, because they need that in that time.
Yeah.
You need that kind of support in that time that you don't need normally in a marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking also in terms of advocacy, like in social events. There is, we've talked a lot about things people say that you don't really, that don't really go well and whatever. It is it's nice to have somebody who is on the same page with you and able to do that. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then also help with accountability.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's not always, here's a cupcake, good job. Sometimes it's suck it the hell up and get off the couch.
Yeah.
That kind of accountability. Like sometimes you need a reminder of why you're so mentally strong. Sometimes you need a reminder of why you said you're going to do this. Let's go. It's that. But accountability happens in a lot of different ways with this. Sometimes, and you as the caregiver have to be different roles in accountability too. You have to be different people sometimes, almost, with that.
Yeah, I would agree, and I think there's a lot of ways. I mean, it doesn't mean, what did you do today?
No, God, no.
Right?
No.
It means,
help. Hey,
yeah,
we can go for a walk together.
Yeah,
that's accountability in that. If that was a goal of yours and that's what you wanted to do and you feel like crap and I can make it a little bit easier.
Yeah, or I can go with you. We can see how far we can go, or whatever. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, after accountability, I said, I think it's really important to find the fun. I think it's important for caregivers to help people like me realize that, one, this is still, that you want to be a part of it and that we can have fun despite the terribleness of a lot of it, right?
And obviously during your treatment it wasn't very fun.
No.
That wasn't very fun. There was funny things, and I
Yeah.
tried to point every one of those out or
Right.
make them funny. We certainly laughed our way through treatment.
Yeah.
Laughed at ourselves, laughed at everything. Funny. We, post that 1 year of constant treatment, then the treatments kind of got spread out and the surgeries that's where we had a lot more fun. I can think of like trips that we got to take because of cancer. And, you're going there for a sucky reason, but we managed to squeeze some fun out of it, and and funny.
If it
things.
wasn't for cancer, we wouldn't know how good quick trips are.
Oh, yeah. Great gas stations. Or maybe
Yeah.
not gas stations. I don't know what you call them.
Yeah. No, that's true. But just kind of realizing that there are bright spots and,
For sure.
and to find them, and yeah.
Yeah, I just naturally go to funny. I just naturally will point out funny things, and I probably did it in unbelievable inappropriate times and inappropriate spaces, and I'm sure nurses just rolled their eyes at me and stuff, but I don't know. You got to keep laughing. What are you going to do, cry?
Yeah.
That's the other opportunity.
Yeah. Tip number 7 is complain somewhere else. I've kind of talked a little bit about that, but
Yeah.
you got to take it somewhere else. I get it. It's not easy to be a caregiver and to be holding up so much of what's going on. But
yeah, I don't think I did that. I don't think if I would have allowed myself to get into that mode, I don't think I would have been truthfully given that 90%, or I think you would have seen right through it. I think you would have seen that I was unhappy or angry at this or not satisfied. I think you would have seen through that. So I'm not saying I didn't let myself, because that's what I think I just said.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think I got there
Yeah.
where I needed to complain about something. It was too much of a whirlwind at too young of an age for me to. It was, maybe if I was older and more, and it's like, I had all that.
Yeah.
It wasn't that at all. It was just like, okay, this is the challenge, and let's go.
Let's go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Number 8 is take care of yourself. I mean, I get it. Like, I think it's important that you're doing something to take care of yourself along the way.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah, I had still an outside life from cancer during this, and you not only allowed but encouraged me to keep doing it. I was a new head football coach at a young age.
And a high school teacher. And your first thought when your wife gets diagnosed is, okay, I got to be done with this, or at least take a year off, or from the coaching specifically. My school from day one was like, take whatever you need, whatever, any day, just do it, no problem, we'll take care of it. They were great, but you can't do that as the head football coach. You can't do that, and definitely had some conversations about resigning or taking a year leave, which is really hard to do when you're head football coach, because that's just not a gig that you take a year leave in. Right.
But I can remember
you don't turn over a program and take it back a year later.
No. And no, you were adamant that I keep doing it, and I was like, how the hell can I do that and this and it aligned a little better with the treatment you were going through, and when the season that aligned a little better. Would not have been able to do it early on in your treatment, or that wouldn't have been a possibility. But yeah, you did wait until after the season was over to get diagnosed, and I appreciate that. You were very kind. And then by the time
by
August
the time,
came around, you were
sort of wrapping
chemo,
up.
or radiation, ish,
Yeah.
So that what I'm saying, this keep yourself. I mean, when you're out there on a football field for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours a day and stuff running around, you do stay in shape. It wasn't my goal. My goal was to coach football, but a byproduct of that.
And also just the chance to be around people you liked and
that's the
things that
mental
you
for
enjoy.
Me. Yeah.
I mean, I remember
I did get a break.
Yeah. And like the teacher's lounge, that was kind of some of your glory days of the teacher's lounge.
Yeah.
So,
not only a physical but a mental break
Yeah.
from the real. It was my escape.
yeah.
You know, and honestly, I mean, my coach is still my best friends in the world.
Yeah.
I could absolutely tell them anything. If I were going to complain, I probably would have to them.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. And number 9 is be willing to try some new things. You know, and I think about all of the new things that I introduced.
What are you thinking
I'm
right
thinking,
now? What's the one thing?
I was thinking just like different food, but what are you
Me
thinking?
too.
Yeah.
Not just different food. What?
Tofu?
Tofu. I did try it once. And we didn't know what we were doing, how to prepare it. I know people can make tofu really good.
Yeah. We probably could even take a much better shot.
Oh, for sure we could. Hands down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could just remember that. And I just going, I'll try it. I said I would. And I was just like, I'll do a lot of it, but I can't do this one.
Well, and that's one of those things, but in being willing to try new things, it was like, okay, yep, I'll try these things. Here's how we can pivot so it works for both of us. Or if you're going to eat this and I don't want to, I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to get a pizza. You know what I mean? It's like literally just, I'm not going to double the workload of any of this. I'm going to support it.
Getting back to the health portion of that, a lot of times during treatment stuff, I did not eat real healthy.
Yeah.
I was eating at Wendy's because that's what was in the hospital.
Yeah,
I was just eating something really fast and going back up to the room or whatever.
Right.
And eating was just to stay alive for me, and it wasn't any planning on healthy. So I was not definitely doing a good job at that point on that. But
right. Yeah. Well, that's again where thanks for being 28 or 29, right? And letting your body
seriously
just take care of that stuff.
No doubt.
Do you have a number 10? Or are we
if you would have told me about this before we start a podcast, but no, you like to surprise me. I can't just come up with a number 10.
You don't have to.
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't. I will right after we're done with this podcast because then I'll have time to think about it and I'll be like, I got number 10.
Yeah.
But
all right. Well, in the spirit of being good to the person who's taken care of me for so long, we are going to take next week off. We're going to take a little break. We're
going on vacation.
We're going to go on vacation.
We're kind of celebrating our 30th anniversary.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we're not going to be able to celebrate on that day. I think I'm actually working that day.
I think you are too.
I'm doing a class that day.
We got married on May 27th, and it's just not a great, because it's Memorial Day weekend, there's always stuff going on, so getting away is not something that ever happens. And it also feels like our big anniversaries usually coincide with life events, which are super expensive. Yeah. So we are just going to take a little time away.
It'll be awesome.
It'll be great. And I've been hearing from a lot more people lately. I'm excited about what's coming for the podcast too, in terms of having some people on and doing some different things. You still will have us the majority of the time, but we are working on getting some people so that you don't get completely tired of our voice. But if you're looking for, if you can't live without an episode while we're gone, I would recommend going back and listening to a Dr. Mariver episode. There's 2 of them. Or anything else you can think of off the top of your head? No. Okay.
What kind of topic do you want? Go by topic. That's what I do.
Yeah. I know. A lot of times you guys ask about, we have done them specifically on nutrition, on physical fitness, on a lot of different things. So, or just go have some fun. So, cool. All right. We'll see you next week or 2 weeks from now.
2 weeks.
Thanks so much for watching and being a part of our community. It means the world to us. Our goal is always to help as many people as possible live well with cancer. You can help us by subscribing to our channel and sharing episodes when you hear of others that could benefit from it. We really appreciate your time spent with us and your commitment to offering hope and inspiration to others.